Okay, what's up, guys? So, it's been a while since I reacted to like some scary video and things, so I seen this as like a recommended video for disturbing true high score. High score? Let me restart that. For disturbing true high school horror stories. There, alright? Now I feel a lot better because I don't know. I try to talk too fast and then it doesn't come out the right way. So, anyways, yeah, let's listen about or let's I guess yeah watch some scary stories about high school. I can't think of a scary story that involved me in high school. Like if it's like something ghost related, nah, I can't think of anything scary. Like I middle school, there was a time where I had blacked out, and yeah, it was like I didn't. I remember I didn't eat that morning, and then we did the pacer test, and yeah, I was just like I was running off of films, like I didn't have nothing in my system, and then going back and forth trying to run, like yeah, that just wasted all of my energy. I blacked out. Once when I came to it, I was like standing in the corner. What was scary was me hearing my teacher's voice and then seeing a light like flashing in the like sky and things. I'm like, you mean to tell me PE? This is what took me out. PE, like that's old age, nothing. Like I ain't get to have a family. I ain't get to get married. I think how old was I at the time? I'm like I ain't even get to like get my dream car, a Mustang. Like I ain't get to live my life. Like what? And I was like, and then it was just like, cause what he asked me, he was like, "Are you okay?" or something like that. I'm like, "Well, I made it this far. I don't think I am. I'm seeing the light, and I don't know what's going on, so I'm a little scared right now. All right, so yeah, then that's when it's like it started like everything was a little bit clear. Realized it was the PE light. All the kids in the locker room, like yeah, everybody was like staring at me, like on the side of the lockers, like what is wrong with you? And yeah, I guess I walked into the door twice, and then they was just like my eyes was really big. They didn't know what was going on with me, so I pretty much just zombied at that point in time in my school. And yeah, it was scary. I think there's if the teacher didn't walk with me, because I was like there were some stairs I had to go up, I probably would have fell down the stairs. But it's like I don't know if I had felt like a little like because I couldn't really walk that much. I was like I felt like I mean I did walk, but I had to been carried and things. So it was yeah that was a scary moment for me in high school. In well not in high school, in middle school, but in high school I can't think. Oh, I had a couple of lockdowns. Yeah, there was a guy. I guess he like assaulted his girlfriend with a gun or something, and he ran through our campus and put our school in lockdown. So that then there was a stabbing at a gas station. School had to go into lockdown for that. Yeah, I think that was about it. Yeah, that was all I could really think about. But those are my scary school stories. Hold on, I'm starting the video. Okay, there we go. See, they be adding like that heartbeat
I was
effect,
a new
like
student to Southern Lehigh High School in Pennsylvania. Going into my junior year of high school, not knowing anyone was really rough.
yeah, it's
Everyone
like that.
obviously had their friend group sorted out by then. The worst part was lunchtime.
Turn it up a little bit. I'm so happy I can like turn up the volume on my headphones. Now I have to like try to like go and turn them up like on the computer and like start messing around with stuff. Like I love these headphones so much.
My school wouldn't let juniors leave for lunch, only seniors. So I had to eat in the cafeteria.
What
I
kind of
was
school?
dreading it
Nah,
because I knew I'd have no one to sit with, and I didn't want to force myself into a random table. When lunchtime finally came, however, I walked into the cafeteria with my tray of food looking for a place to sit. Every
that's a
single
nice
table
looking
was
school.
taken. I didn't even have the option of sitting alone.
Dang.
But there was one table in the corner of the cafeteria with only two kids sitting at it. That was the least intimidating spot to sit. So I walked over and asked if I could sit there. They both looked at each other, and one of them said yeah. I noticed upon sitting down that the two were identical twins. They looked like they were partially of Hispanic heritage, but they didn't have accents. They honestly seemed alright. They introduced themselves as Antonio and Bruno, and they had a conversation with me. They invited me to hang out with them after school, and honestly I figured why not? I had to start off somewhere as far as making friends.
Sounds
I
like a
got their
movie.
numbers, and after school, I went home to drop off all my stuff. Shortly after, I got a text from Bruno, telling me he and his brother were planning on hanging out. He told me to meet them around 9 that night at the nearby cemetery that was like a 10-minute walk from my house. He said
Well,
there
I'm
was a
like,
cool...
we can't meet up nowhere else. Why are we meeting up at cemeteries? So that's like stuff like that that like raises flags in my head. Like, why are we meeting up at a cemetery? Out of all the places we could have went to, we're gonna go to a cemetery? Really? Nah, that's okay.
hangout spot near there. Plus, the first day of school was on a Friday, so we had off the next day. I had nothing to do, so I said, yeah, I'm down. When the time came, Bruno texted me one more time asking if I was still coming. I said, yeah, I'm gonna leave in a few, and confirmed we were meeting on the road by the cemetery. He said, yeah. So I began my walk in the dark to the cemetery.
I don't like that.
The longer
Not
I
at all.
walked, the more I thought about my whole move and being the new kid in high school. And thinking about the fact that I was literally walking to a cemetery at night to hang out with two kids I just met. But anyway,
That's what
I
I'm
got to
saying.
the little road next
That
to
ain't
the
normal.
cemetery and asked Bruno where they were. He started typing right away, and he said they were in the woods hanging by a small lake that they wanted to show me. Then he promptly sent his location. So I made my way into the woods, pushing branches out of my way, using my tiny phone flashlight as my only light. I started calling for Bruno and Antonio as I felt like I was close enough, according to the location he sent me at least. Suddenly I heard footsteps, so I
See?
stopped. Definitely footsteps approaching me, but they were very low and slow. I called out that they better not be trying to scare me. When they weren't answering me though, I decided this was stupid. I turned and started walking back towards the road. But those footsteps I mentioned earlier, they turned from quiet and slow to fast, and before I could even react, someone had their nails digging into my neck, effectively choking me. I heard a familiar voice screaming, "Grab him, grab him." I managed to break free from this sort of chokehold and sprinted towards the road. I know they followed me until the tree line by the road. I was faster than them, and I could run for miles. And that's what
Wow.
I did. I ran straight home and told my parents. They considered calling the cops, but I thought it would be better to get pictures of the nail marks on my neck and report it to the school the next day. That's what we did, and with the help of the text that I got from Bruno, I was able to get the two students expelled. My parents made me block both their numbers. I didn't exactly
Yeah.
argue with that, though.
No.
My parents wanted me to confirm that these kids didn't know where we lived, and I told them simply, not as far as I know. So anyway, one night about a week later, I woke up to my room feeling really cold. I heard the sound of wind blowing into my room, and I looked at the window to see it was slid completely open. I wondered if my mom came in to open it, but that would make absolutely no sense. It was like 50 degrees out that night. I walked over to it and looked down below. A few feet below my bedroom window, there's a part of the exterior of my house that comes outward, creating a sort of ledge underneath my window that my father always told me to jump onto in case of a fire. I shut my window and walked over to my parents' bedroom. I gently knocked and opened the door, and my mom groggily asked what. I had to ask her if she opened my window. She sat up saying, "No, why?" I told her in a louder, more concerned voice now that my window was opened all the way by somebody. I
Man.
started shaking my dad to wake him up and go check my room with me. But when he woke up, he told me to grow up and go back to sleep. I left
That's.
my parents to...
I'm like, nah, that's. I'm like, turned them lights on. I'm like, okay, well, I know I didn't open up my window. Mom didn't open up the window. Somebody open up that window. So that ain't no grow up and let it, like, nah, man, that ain't no grow up and let it go. I'm like, well, then it's like, looks like I'm gonna be a kid all over again and sleep in this room, because I know I am not sleeping in there if there's people opening up windows and ain't confirming that they open up a window.
door
All right.
as I walked back down the hall to my room.
Definitely ain't going back in that
And
room.
I picked up on something that I'm surprised I picked up on. My door. It seemed to be half shut now, as opposed to completely open when I left. I pushed the door open just a little bit so I could get a look through the crack and see if, You know, someone was behind the door. Even though I had the thought of the possibility, I never could have actually expected to see it. There was someone hiding behind my door.
That's
I screamed to my dad like a little girl. I
I
screamed so
would
loud
too.
I'm sure it could be heard 3 doors down. And my door suddenly slammed shut, just as my dad came rushing out of his room over to me. I screamed, "There's people in my room," so he barged into the room and turned the light on. At that moment, we saw the leg of a person jumping out my window.
That's
My dad ran to the
crazy.
window, then downstairs and out the front door to attempt to chase them down. But he came back a few minutes later out of breath, saying he didn't see anyone. Full of energy and fear, I swore it had to be those twins that I got expelled.
That's crazy,
My dad called
man.
the police, and I had to talk to them when they arrived, explaining the whole story back to the incident in the woods. My father backed up my story, but without proof of who entered, they said there wasn't anything they could do. They merely ordered us to lock the doors and consider installing cameras outside. As positive I am that it was either one of or both of those twins in my room, after getting through a solid couple months of sleeping in fear, nothing to this nature ever happened again. Looking back now, I don't know why I was so willing to meet these kids in the woods at night. I should have realized in the cafeteria that day that they looked like trouble, and I should have stayed away.
That's crazy. Yeah, it had to been that one of those guys. It had to, and probably the other one was waiting for him. So that's some crazy stuff, man. Like that is some serious, like some two kid, like that's man. That's why you gotta build your friendships in elementary. All right, possibly middle school, maybe high school, but after that, like them your only friends. Like unless you got like a work related situation, you just can't trust everybody, especially if they seem shady and they try to have you meet them out by a cemetery in some woods and stuff. Like that. I don't trust that. I don't trust that at all. If you got some friends asking you to meet you at night at some unknown location, I'm like, are they, nah, that's okay, thank you. I'm like, we can go to the mall at noon, midday, where there's people there, all right, where everybody's seeing everything. So in case you try to grab me by my neck, there's gonna be some people that see it. So, nope.
Freshman year of high school, 2007.
Can be like normal people and
Gym
go to the
class
movies.
period. We had a substitute gym teacher on one of the stormiest days of the year. He was an older man, not a senior citizen, but gray, maybe 55 to 60. He took attendance, and when he passed me, he took a double take at me, which I found a bit uncomfortable. Not to float my own boat, but I always understood I looked older and really good for a freshman in high school. The sub told us to get in.
There be some freshmen, they be looking a little bit too old to be a freshman. There was one dude, it was like both him and his brother, they were tall, but I thought he was a senior, and he was just like, nah, I'm a freshman. I like freshman. Like that, no. At your size, no. You a 6'5" grown man. You are not 14.
Volleyball teams, and he disappeared into the hall by the locker rooms for a while. 40 minutes went by and the period was over. It was time for us to get changed and go home. I got into the locker room, but for some reason, my locker wasn't opening. I tried my usual combination over and over and over. It wouldn't click open though. I had to go to the sub and let him know to ask for my combination again. I figured maybe the combo just slipped from my mind for some reason. The sub told me to give him a few minutes and he'd get the list of locker combos. I waited outside the office, and out he finally came with a book in his hands, open to a specific page. He walked into the girls' locker room with me, which I didn't expect him to do. The locker room was basically empty now, with one girl finishing up changing.
I don't know why, but I assume with the man voice that it was a boy telling this story, but it's a girl, so okay. Threw me off. I'm like, okay, so why do you have a locker in the girls' locker? Like, slipped my mind. I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not one of those people where I don't accept genders, but the man voice, it threw me off, all right? Because I'm like, okay, so it's a girl that we're talking about, so all right.
My locker and tried the combination written down on the paper. It didn't work no matter how many times he tried it. Each time he tried it and failed, he would look at me and laugh. I would force myself to laugh along to be polite, but it started getting weird. He put his hand on my shoulder as he said, "We'll figure this out." He tried the combination again, with his hand still on my shoulder. When it didn't work again, I felt his hand slowly started inching down from my shoulder to my lower back.
Yes.
I pushed myself away and grabbed my bag, saying, "It's okay, I'm late for my bus." He tried a combo in the locker one more time, and it opened. He smiled and walked away. I waited till I heard the locker room door shut. Then I proceeded to getting changed quickly, when suddenly the room went dark.
Yes.
I
Man.
finished pulling up my pants and shut my locker in the dark. I threw on my backpack and started walking to the back exit of the locker room, which led outside. I feared that the sub would be waiting right by the door for me. I got predatory vibes from him. When I got to the end of that specific aisle of lockers I was in the intersection of two rows. I'd have to turn down left to get to the exit door, but still. Naturally, I had to look right to make sure that it was clear. There was a little light seeping in from one single rectangular window that sat under the ceiling. It was enough. Enough for me to see him peeking at me from around the wall of lockers.
Yes.
So that's when I ran for the exit door. He came over behind me saying, wait, it's not what it looks like." I ran outside into the rain off the campus of the high school and walked the rest of the way home, giving me time to reflect on what happened.
Bro, it looked like a
By the
tornado was
time I
forming
got
up in
home,
that
sober,
cloud.
It came to me that he most likely changed my locker combination somehow as a way of getting alone with me in the locker room.
Yes.
As for what he could have possibly been planning to do when he cut the lights, I never wanted to imagine. Honestly, I was too emotionally scared and quite frankly embarrassed to tell anyone about it, not even my parents or friends. It was something I just kept to myself all these years, because truthfully, I just don't feel comfortable telling people.
That's crazy. Yeah, you can't trust teachers. Honestly, can't trust anybody. But I mean, it is like
When I was in high
some
school,
cool
it was
people you could trust in your lives, but yeah, it's like some situations like that like eliminates all trust from teachers, anybody like that, stuff like that happening. Like, come on
in a
now.
band. At my school, band was basically an easy A. It was either that, orchestra, or chorus, so I went with band. Anyhow, our band teacher, Mr. Nicholson, had the grading system set up so that as long as you attended class and went to your weekly lessons, you got an A. Sadly, towards the end of one quarter, I was missing 2 lessons. Because of that, my grade was a B. I went to him after class to ask if I could make up the lessons.
A B is
And
good
even though
to
he
me.
seemed reluctant, he said he would let me come in during a lunch period and practice in one of the downstairs storage rooms to get credit for a lesson. I was more than happy with that, because realistically, I would probably just play games on my phone anyway instead of actually practicing. I arrived to the music room during my lunch period the next day. So I took my saxophone and headed down the stairs outside the music room towards the basement area for the music department. It was always kind of creepy down there because absolutely no one besides the music teachers would go down there usually, and the lights were kind of shitty. I'd only been down there a couple times before that day. But anyway, I walked down the hallway, and on either side were a bunch of doors that led into small, maybe 7 by 7 feet rooms. All of these rooms were used.
I feel like I forgot to mention this. Mr. Nightmare has he uploaded this video, so I just wanted to throw that out there. And things. Make sure you guys go subscribe to Mr. Nightmare and stuff for more videos like this. I feel like I didn't say that in the beginning of the video, so yeah, saying it now.
Used for storing things like chairs, music stands, spare instruments, Christmas decorations, and whatever. I stepped into one of the rooms and shut the door. I set up my music on one of the stands in the room, just in case Mr. Nicholson were to come down to check on me. But really, I didn't plan on actually playing. I started playing games on my phone, and then flick. Darkness.
Yes.
Like, as dark as it could get. Minus my phone screen. I looked over to the light switch to the room, just instinctively. Flicked it up and down a few times, but that did nothing.
Yes, man.
I stumbled as I got up from the seat to open the door. More darkness. I held my phone out in front of me to light up this little hallway, even if it was just barely. I think I had like an iPhone 3 or something. Those old ones didn't have flashlights.
Oh, I know.
But anyway.
They didn't have those flashlights until what? They came out with the double like camera thing or something like that. Dang, this is old thing. Like this was. I'm trying to think. Like this had to been like when I was in like middle school, elementary maybe. Cause I think that's when them iPhones came out. Them iPhone 3s. Dang, that's old.
From my phone was enough to see one of the doors open near the end of the hall, and I heard something being dragged in that room, like one of the big plastic containers. There was also manic breathing, followed by animal-like grunting. Then I saw a big plastic container being pushed out of that room into the hallway. As I saw this, I turned off my phone screen and went back into the room I was just in.
That's
I
crazy.
shut the door so quietly. I don't know what exactly I was thinking in that moment that I decided to hide, but I think the strange sounds I was hearing from this person, mixed with the random blackout, made me wary of staying in that hallway. Whoever that was blocking the stairs though, and of course I got no reception down in that little basement area.
I hate areas like that. I hate areas like that in buildings where it's like a phone just doesn't work. Like it's like man, I don't like that, man. I hate that so much. I'm like, that's just
What I'm comfortable
stupid.
doing was sitting in that room and waiting for the lights to hopefully turn back on. But the lights seemed like they were never going to turn back on. So I decided I would try and get back upstairs again. I quietly opened the door with my phone in front of me for light. Then I stepped into the hall. I inched up a little closer to the stairs, then I heard something again. I quickly crept into the next closest room with the door open and shut it. I still didn't know what I was hiding from. Could it have been a staff member or janitor? At that point, the only reason I had of thinking it wasn't was because they only appeared down there after the lights turned off. I stood in that room in complete darkness, only listening and waiting for another sound from outside. But you know how when you're in a room with someone, even if you don't necessarily hear them, you can kind of just sense their presence?
Yep.
That's suddenly the feeling I got standing in that pitch black room. I lifted my shaking hand up and pressed the home button on my phone to turn on the screen, just for half a second. That was enough to see someone standing in the corner of this little storage room, 3 feet away from me.
Yep.
I didn't see anything, but it was too late. Shh, is what I heard, breaking the silence. Then, a hand patted my shoulder twice and started squeezing it. I basically dove for the doorknob, struggling to find it at first, but pulling the door open when I did. The man in the room with me tried pushing the door shut after I opened it, but I was already out. I ran up the stairs and out the door to the main level of the music hall, where the lights were still on. I ran to Mr. Nicholson to tell him, out of breath. He called security to check the basement section of the music hall, but security came back upstairs and said besides a bunch of music equipment moved around, there wasn't anyone down there.
Man.
Mr. Nicholson canceled his flute lesson, and I sat there in the room with him and 5 flute players, explaining the whole story in detail. Without cameras in the music hall, there was no way of catching whoever went down there and killed the power for the basement. It seemed that he was trying to steal expensive music equipment. That, or God knows what else. The next day, I was called into the dean's office to give my story of what happened, and the rest is history.
Yes, man. Screamed, ran, out of breath, crying. Alright, possibly used the bathroom on myself.
One night, my friends and I hatched a genius plan. We'd sneak into the high school basement through one of the windows that was broken and never fixed. The thing about this window, you'd have to hop a short metal gate surrounding an outside staircase leading to the basement. Not that it would effectively stop anyone, but it added that extra barrier that makes you feel like you're really doing something devious when you crossed over it. We made sure there weren't any security cars anywhere nearby and hopped the gate. Crawling in through the window proved difficult, considering we had to boost ourselves up, then crawl through an insanely skinny opening. But once we were in, we were in.
I don't know why people feel like you gotta do stuff like this. Like, there ain't no reason for you to be in there. None whatsoever.
Sure, the basement of the school was a mess, and anything but interesting. There was little light. One small white light was on in a far corner, and the exit sign light actually produced more light than you'd think. I was looking around when I saw one of my friends in front of me. He whispered, "Let's go upstairs." So I followed him upstairs, and he opened the door up to the main hallway of the school. Everything was dark. I always thought there were at least some lights left on in the school at night. But no, not a single light was on. And all that really stood out as far as the eye could see were the various exit signs glowing red. I followed my friend down the hall and remembered saying,
something
"This is
there."
really creepy." And he replied back, "Shh." But I realized he was right. Who knew if somebody else could be in the building besides my friends and I? Little did I know just yet. I followed my friend to the bathroom, and he went into one of the stalls. I whispered, "Hurry up." I waited.
It's like you couldn't have used the bathroom while you were at home. Like you're gonna decide to do some stuff like that right now when we just want to do some secret go around the school in the middle of the night type stuff. Like nah, you holding in whatever you got to release, and you ain't gonna use the bathroom till we outside of this school.
Then my phone started to ring. I picked up, and it was one of my friends, Chris. He asked, "Where the hell did you go?" I said I'm upstairs with either Roland or Brandon. He said, "What do you mean? They're with me." And right after, both Brendan and Roland said hi, apparently on speakerphone. I stuttered the word "I" and stopped, trying to think straight. Then there was a laughing coming from in the stall. Not the laugh of any of my friends. I looked up at the stall. There was someone looking over it at me, probably standing on the toilet. I screamed "holy shit" over and over into the phone as I left the bathroom.
Yup.
Shortly after I was out, I heard the stall door slam shut. I tried to run back to the basement in the dark, but it wasn't too easy to find in the dark. Luckily, I managed to find it, so I started to scream their names as I ran down the stairs. I screamed "go, go" when they answered, and we one by one jumped off some kind of bucket onto the window ledge and crawled back outside. I was the first one out, though, afraid that person from the bathroom was following.
Yeah.
When we were all outside, I explained to them, out of breath, while also laughing now that I felt safe with all of them next to me. I guess we were loud or something, though, because as we all just started looking around at the whole school building and all the classroom windows, in one of the downstairs windows was someone with their hands pressed up on the glass. We could only see maybe half their face.
That's some
I
crazy
said
stuff.
that's gotta be him, as Roland ushered us to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
We ran until we were off the premises of the school, and that was that. We came up with a lot of possible explanations, but none of them really made sense. Obviously, we never did anything like that again, though.
I wouldn't. That's what I'm saying. Like stuff like that, you ain't gotta. You don't have to be in no school whatsoever. You don't have to be in any of them things. You just gotta be home chilling. I don't know why people feel like, oh, let's go out and do some just scary stuff for no reason. Cause yeah, let's just forget all the horror movies we watch when people just end up going missing in these type of cases. Nope. Yeah. My friends called me up. They were like, "Oh, let's go and sneak into our high school." I'm like, "So yeah, y'all can do that. I'm gonna stay here. Call me what you want, but I'm staying home. All right." So I'm not getting involved in that type of stuff because I can see right now, me being the black guy in a horror situation. You've seen it in numerous movies. We don't survive. All right. So that's why I'm like, I'm staying home, but y'all can do that. All right. Let me know how it goes, but I'm staying home. All right. So yeah, that's some scary stuff, man. Like it's disturbing. Like that's just full out scary. Like this, Mr. Nightmare, he can scare you sometimes. But yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe if you're new to this channel. Make sure you go subscribe to Mr. Nightmare for more scary videos like this. Cause now I'm like, I don't want to be anywhere by myself. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you guys for watching and peace.